Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson. Also on the BrightShine right here in the city of Memphis. It's in the county sheriff. It's in the state of Tennessee. Today's date, Sunday afternoon, October the 26th, 2025. Time 3:36 p.m. First, say thank you, my family, my support for you. Continue to support, continue to keep myself employed in the Memphis tri-state area. And I'll continue to keep myself employed in the Memphis tri-state area. I'll continue to further my education by continuing to study B administrative contract and marketing. Trying to pursue my associate degree. Now, at the present time, I took a break from going to school. In the future, I do intend to go back to school, work on earning my associate degree in B administrative contract and marketing as well as other degrees. Now, I'm gonna start my Facebook Live. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson. Also on my BrightShine right here in the city of Memphis. It's in the county sheriff. It's in the state of Tennessee. Today's date, Sunday afternoon, October the 26th, 2025. Time, 3:27 p.m. First, I thank my family, my support for continuing to support, continue to keep myself employed. Memphis tri-state area, continue to further my education by trying to pursue my associate degree study being administrative contract and marketing. I took a break from going to school. In the future, I do intend to go back to school and work on earning my associate degree in being administrative contract and marketing as well as other degrees. Now, first, I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Son of God, for all the blessings and the guidance He provides us all with. Continue to pray. You know, we have these natural disasters. Continue to pray about those natural disasters and continue to pray about wars that are being fought on this earth, that it be peace. And just continue to pray. Now, I didn't make my video last week, but you know, it's that time of the year where it's fall, winter times, you know, and I had to get my air conditioning heating system tuned up, make sure it's ready. Just like when the spring and summertime come, you know, you have to get your air conditioner tuned up. So I had to make sure my heating system is tuned up for the winter, for this fall winter. As a matter of fact, today is one of those days because the system just, you know, here in the city of Memphis, in Shelby County being centrally located, weather fluctuates. I'm sitting in the house. I'm actually sitting in the house, going from air conditioning to heat. Going from air conditioning to the heat. When the nighttime comes, but on the day, today is cloudy, raining. So in a way, I kind of left the heat on. Because this morning I turned the heat off. And by the time this afternoon came, I was like, man, it looks like I'm about to turn the heat, leave the heat back, you know, turn the heat back on, you know. And so left the heat on. But the weather fluctuates, so you know, this time of the year, when nighttime comes, usually when the sun goes down, you know, it's gonna get a little cool, so turn the heat on. Then morning time comes for, you know, turn the coolness off. By the time the afternoon comes, the temperature went back up, be back in the 70s. It feels like it's summer, you know, in the house. So then I have to, it ain't like I can't just turn the heat off. Now actually you're going to have to turn the air on, because if you walk around in the house, you know, if you be in the house, the temperature outside gonna start feeling like the temperature inside. Don't feel like outside. So had to turn her on. So this is, you know, it's all in one day, not just every other day. I'm talking about the same day. I got to go from air conditioning to heat, and from heat back to the air in one day. So, you know, the weather, it fluctuates. But, like I said, you know, that's the reason why I didn't make my video last week. And, you know, I got my system tuned up, and so I was intending on, you know, it was my intent, but gonna continue to talk about prehistoric religion indefinitely, you know, and traditional ancient African religion indefinitely. There are books on the subjects. There are books on prehistoric religion. There's books on traditional African, ancient religion, ancient African religion. And so, and in saying that, don't overlook mathematics. Don't overlook the mathematics in the fields of science. Because you have the branches of science, formal sciences, natural sciences, social sciences, and that also dealing with engineering and medicine, as well as you have applied science, as well as basic sciences. So don't overlook the mathematics in all branches of science as well as fields of science. Make sure you include mathematics. Because, you know, it's important. It's important. Okay. For example, dealing with the artificial intelligence overview, mathematics is used in the in the social sciences to create models and conduct research by representing social phenomena with mathematical equations and analyzing complex data to find patterns and make predictions. This approach is used in fields like economics for market analysis, sociology for social network analysis, and political science for understanding voter behavior. Key applications of mathematics in the social sciences: modeling and prediction. Economists use mathematical models to forecast economic trends, while political scientists use them to analyze how voters might react to different events. Social network analysis, a key contribution to sociology. This uses mathematical models to understand the structure of relationships between individuals in the society. Agent-based modeling. This technique stimulates human interaction and behaviors to understand complex social dynamics. Game theory. This is used to analyze strategic decision making, such as in situations of cooperation versus competition. Decision science. Mathematical models help in understanding individual decision making, choices under risk, and collective choice mechanisms. Quantitative research. Mathematics provides the tools for statistical analysis, which is essential for many modern social science studies. The benefits of using mathematics: increased clarity. Expressing social theories in mathematical terms can make them more precise and less ambiguous. Deriving new insights. Mathematical models can help derive implications of a theory that may not be obvious through intuition alone. Empirical testing. Mathematical models can be compared with real-world data to test the validity of a social theory. Okay. Okay, here we are. One of the social sciences. Theology. Theology is the systematic study of religious beliefs and practices, particularly the nature of God and God's relationship to the world. This field involves critical thinking and reflection on sacred texts and traditions to understand concepts like faith, truth, ethics, and the purpose of life. Theology includes various disciplines such as biblical, historical, and systematic theology, and its goal is to foster a deeper understanding of a faith or worldview. Core concepts and goals. Study of God. Theology often described as God talk or the knowledge of God. It explores the nature of God, God's attributes, and how God interacts with the world. Understanding faith. A primary goal is to have a more informed understanding of one's own faith, as well as to examine and articulate it clearly. Practical application. It connects abstract beliefs to practical living, exploring how faith informs ethics, daily actions, and one's understanding of purpose and meaning. Intellectual discipline. Theology is an intellectual pursuit that requires critical thinking, analysis, and the use of reason within a religious framework. Types of theology. Biblical theology focuses on how specific topics or themes are developed and understood throughout sacred texts like the Bible. Historical theology examines the development of religious doctrines and thought throughout history, exploring how beliefs have been understood and debated over time. Systematic theology organizes and articulates the doctrines of a particular faith in a coherent and comprehensive way, looking at how different beliefs fit together. Practical theology applies theological insights to practical ministry and life, covering areas like pastoral care, ethics, and education. Philosophical theology uses philosophical methods to explore theological questions, often examining the relationship between faith and reason. Mathematics is used in theology in several ways as a tool for understanding God's creation, a framework for theological concepts, and a language to describe divine attributes like infinity and order. Historically, thinkers like Pythagoras and Nicholas of Cusa explored the idea that numbers reveal divine harmony, while others like Leibniz saw mathematics as a stairway to God. Modern approaches include using mathematical concepts like chaos theory or symbolic logic to explore theological ideas. Historical perspectives. Ancient Greece. The Pythagoreans believed number is all, and that the harmony of the spheres depended on the right relationship between numbers. Medieval period. Thinkers like St. Thomas Aquinas applied Aristotelian logic and mathematical-like system to theology. Moses Maimonides wrote about the calculation of the new moon, reconciling secular and religious calendars. Renaissance and later, Nicholas of Cusa used mathematical models such as God as an infinite spirit to explore theological concepts like infinity and the divine nature. Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz saw mathematics as a fundamental step toward understanding God and creation, viewing creation itself as a divine math problem. Modern perspectives, order and design. Many see mathematics as the language of God's creation, reflecting a divine mind's order and structure in the universe. The ability to use math to describe natural laws can be seen as a way of appreciating God's work. Symbolic theology. Mathematical concepts can serve as symbols for theological ideas. For example, Salvador Dali's painting, Corpus Hypercubus, used a four-dimensional cube to explore dimensions beyond our perception. New approaches. Modern fields like chaos theory and quantum mechanics are being integrated into theological discussions to explore randomness, complexity, and divine immanence in a new light. Logical and philosophical arguments. Mathematics continues to be used in philosophical theology to build logical arguments, such as Anselm's ontological argument, which was later refined by Leibniz. Examples of mathematics in theology. Infinity. Nicholas of Cusa used models of infinity like an infinite angle or number to discuss the nature of God. Symmetry and patterns. The study of symmetry in mathematics can be seen as reflecting the harmony and order of God's creation. Set theory. Modern theological approaches such as the one from the International Journal of Mathematics Trends and Technology use set theory and other abstract mathematical concepts to explore metaphysical ideas as seen in the example of Zorn's lemma in the concept of a maximal element. Fractals. The Sierpinski triangle is an example of a fractal where a seemingly random process generates a complex and beautiful pattern, which some see as a metaphor for finding order in chaos. Now, the artificial intelligence overview, religious studies is the academic and interdisciplinary study of religion from a historical, scientific, and cultural perspective, focusing on its impact on human behavior, history, and society. It involves analyzing diverse religious traditions, beliefs, and practices using tools from other fields like history, anthropology, and sociology. The goal is to understand religion's influence on human experience without establishing one religion as true over another. What it is: academic and interdisciplinary. Religious studies is not the practice of a religion, but an academic field that uses methods from other disciplines to study religion objectively. Focus on global diversity. Programs often examine major world religions like Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Judaism, as well as cross-cultural topics like myth, ritual, and ethics, historical and cultural context. It explores how religion is intertwined with history, culture, politics, literature, and other areas of human activity, both in the past and today. Application. The skills developed, such as critical reading, strong writing, and research, are applicable to many areas of life and professional careers. What you study. Specific traditions you can delve into the history, texts, and practices of individual religions. Thematic topics. Coursework can include themes like religion and science, fundamentalism, or religion and health. Core concepts. Students may study philosophical and ethical concepts such as the nature of the divine, morality, and religious ethics. Cultural expression. The study can extend to how religion appears in art, film, and other forms of cultural expression. Skills and career paths. Transferable skills. The major cultivates critical thinking, analytical reading, and research skills, which are valuable in many fields. Diverse career options. Graduates may pursue careers in a wide range of professions, including law, medicine, education, nonprofit work, ministry, journalism, and business. Further education. Religious studies is also an excellent preparation for graduate school, with many students pursuing master's or doctoral degrees in religion or related fields. Okay, the artificial intelligence overview. Mathematics in religious studies. Mathematics and religious studies intersect through the use of mathematical reasoning to understand the universe and the divine, historical, and philosophical links between the two fields and theological interpretations of mathematical concepts. For many, mathematics is seen as a way to comprehend God's creation, while for others, it is a subject that can complement or sometimes conflict with religious beliefs. This relationship is viewed through multiple lenses, including the idea that mathematical order reflects divine order and its use in fields like cosmology and theology. Mathematical reasoning in religious thought. Understanding the divine. Many theologians and philosophers have used mathematical reasoning to understand the divine, viewing the perfection and order in mathematics as a reflection of a perfect and ordered God. Cosmology and creation. The study of the universe through mathematics, particularly in fields like astronomy and geometry, has historically been tied to religious cosmology and the belief in a divinely ordered creation. For example, early Christian scientists saw their work as a religious undertaking. Symbolism and infinity. Mathematics is used to explore abstract concepts like infinity, which is often a central theme in religious thought, and provides a way to approach the infinite nature of God. Practical applications. In many traditions, mathematics was essential for practical religious duties, such as calculating calendars, determining prayer times, or ensuring correct measurements for religious structures. Historical and philosophical connections. Pythagoras and the ancients. The ancient Greek philosopher Pythagoras believed that mathematics and religion were completely linked, laying a foundation for later connections between the two fields. Scholasticism. During the Middle Ages, thinkers like Thomas Aquinas saw mathematics as the basis for philosophy, metaphysics, and theology, placing it in a hierarchical order with theology at the apex. Modern thinkers, figures like Gottfried Leibniz, saw mathematical perfection as reflecting God's perfection and explored theological implications in concepts like binary code and infinite symbols. Others, like Herman Cohen, believe that theology should be built on a mathematical foundation. Interplay and tension. Mutual reinforcement. In many cases, religious thought and mathematics have mutually reinforced each other, with religious tradition providing a framework for mathematical inquiry and mathematical tools aiding religious understanding. The sources of conflict. At other times, there has been tension, particularly when different methods of inquiry, like the mathematical and the religious, appear to conflict. Some figures have critiqued mathematics for perceived conflicts with religious dogma, while others have defended mathematics as a tool for understanding a divine creation. So we know how important mathematics is in the branches of science as well as fields of science. So like I said, prehistoric religion and traditional ancient African religion. Gonna be studied, we're gonna be discussing it, conversating and talking about indefinitely, including mathematics. Prehistoric religion is the religious practice of prehistoric cultures. Prehistory, the period before written records, makes up the bulk of human experience. Over 99% of human experience occurred during the Paleolithic period alone. Prehistoric cultures spanned the globe and existed for over 2.5 million years. Their religious practices were many and varied, and the study of them is difficult due to the lack of written records describing the details of their faith. The cognitive capacity for religion likely first emerged in Homo sapiens sapiens or anatomically modern humans. Although some scholars posit the existence of Neanderthal religion as sparse evidence exists for earlier ritual practice, excluding sparse and controversial evidence in the Middle Paleolithic. Religion emerged with certainty in the Upper Paleolithic, around 50,000 years ago. Upper Paleolithic religion was possibly shamanic, oriented around the phenomenon of special spiritual leaders entering trance states to receive esoteric spiritual knowledge. These practices are extrapolated based on the rich and complex body of art left behind by Paleolithic artists, particularly the elaborate cave art and enigmatic Venus figurines they produced. The Neolithic Revolution let me click over there. The Neolithic Revolution, also known as the first agricultural revolution, was the wide-scale transition of many human cultures during the Neolithic period. So let me click on Neolithic. The Neolithic or New Stone Age is an archaeological period, the final division of the Stone Age in Mesopotamia, Asia, Europe, and Africa. 10,000 BCE to 2000 BCE. It saw the Neolithic Revolution, a wide-ranging set of developments that appear to have arisen independently in several parts of the world. This Neolithic package included the introduction of farming, domestication of animals, and changed from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle to one of settlement. The term Neolithic was coined by John Lubbock in 1865 as a refinement of the 3-age system. Okay, let me see here. Now, the Neolithic began about 12,000 years ago when farming appeared in the epic Paleolithic Near East in Mesopotamia and later in other parts of the world. It lasted in the Near East until the transitional period of the Chalcolithic, Copper Age, from about 6,500 years ago to 4,500 BCE, marked by the development of metallurgy, leading up to the Bronze Age and Iron Age. In other places, the Neolithic followed the Mesolithic, Middle Stone Age, and then lasted until later. In ancient Egypt, the Neolithic lasted until the Proto-Dynastic period, 3,150 BCE. In China, it lasted until circa 2000 BCE with the rise of the PREHIST Eritu culture as it did in Scandinavia. All right. Let me click back over. All right, we're back over here on Neolithic Revolution. The Neolithic Revolution, also known as the First Agricultural Revolution, was the wide-scale transition of many human cultures during the Neolithic period in Afro-Eurasia, from a lifestyle of hunting and gathering to one of agriculture and settlement, making an increasingly large population possible. These settled communities permitted humans to observe and experiment with plants, learning how they grew and developed. This new knowledge led to the domestication of plants into crops. Archaeological data indicate that the domestication of various types of plants and animals happened in separate locations worldwide, starting in the geological epoch of the Holocene, 11,700 years ago. After the end of the last ice age, it was humankind's first historically verifiable transition to agriculture. The Neolithic Revolution greatly narrowed the diversity of tools available, resulting Any decrease in the quality of human nutrition compared with that obtained previously from hunting and foraging. However, because food production became more efficient, it released humans to invest their efforts in other activities and was thus ultimately necessary to the rise of modern civilization by creating the foundation for the later process of industrialization and sustained economic growth. The Neolithic Revolution involved much more than the adoption of a limited set of food producing techniques. During the next millennium, it transformed the small and mobile groups of hunter-gatherers that had hitherto dominated human prehistory into sedentary, non-nomadic societies based in built-up villages and towns. These societies radically modified their natural environment by means of specialized food crop cultivation with activities such as irrigation and deforestation, which allowed the production of surplus food. Other developments that are found very widely during this era are the domestication of animals, pottery, polished stone tools, and rectangular houses. In many regions, the adoption of agriculture by prehistoric societies caused episodes of rapid population growth, a phenomenon known as a Neolithic demographic transition. These developments, sometimes called a Neolithic package, provided the basis for centralized administrations and political structures, hierarchical ideologies, depersonalized systems of knowledge, writing, densely populated settlements, specialization and division of labor, more trade, the development of non-portable art and architecture, and greater property ownership. The earliest known civilization developed in Sumer in southern Mesopotamia, 6,500 BP. Its emergence also heralded the beginning of the Bronze Age. The relationship of the aforementioned Neolithic characteristics to the onset of agriculture, their sequence of emergence, and their empirical relations to each other at various Neolithic sites remains a subject of academic debate. It is usually understood to vary from place to place rather than being the outcome of universal laws of social evolution. So I click back over to prehistoric cultures. Prehistoric religion. All right. So the Neolithic Revolution, which established agriculture as the dominant lifestyle, occurred around 12,000 BC and ushered in the Neolithic. Neolithic society grew hierarchical and egalitarian compared to its Paleolithic forebears. And their religious practices likely changed to suit. Neolithic religion may have become more structural and centralized than in the Paleolithic, and possibly engaged in ancestor worship, both of one's individual ancestors and the ancestors of entire groups, tribes, and settlements. One famous feature of Neolithic religion were the stone circles of the British Isles, of which the best known today is Stonehenge. A particularly well-known area of late Neolithic through Chalcolithic religion is Proto-Indo-European mythology, the religion of the people who first spoke the Proto-Indo-European language, which has been partially reconstructed through shared religious elements between early Indo-European language speakers. Bronze Age and Iron Age religions are understood in part through archaeological records, but also more so than Paleolithic and Neolithic through written records. Some societies had writing in their ages and were records. And were able to describe those which did not. These eras of prehistoric religion see particular cultural focus today by modern reconstructionists, with many pagan faiths today based on the pre-Christian practices of proto-historic Bronze and Iron Age societies. Okay, I clicked over here to prehistory. Let me scroll down here. Okay, now we got the middle pair lifted, upper pair lifted. Let's see here. Okay, let me see here. Okay, let me see here. Well, Talking about them stone tools. Okay. All right. See here. Okay. Remember that. Now, talking about these tools, that's what I was finding. Paleolithic. The tools, the Paleolithic humans made tools of stone, bone, primarily during wood. The early Paleolithic hominins, Australopithecus, were the first users of stone tools. Excavations in Ghana, Ethiopia, have produced thousands of artifacts, and through radiotopic dated and magnetostratigraphy, the sites can be firmly dated to 2.6 million years ago. Evidence shows these early hominids intentionally selected raw stone with good flaking qualities and chose appropriately sized stone for their needs to produce sharp edged tools for cutting. The earliest Paleolithic stone tool industry, the Odoan, began around 2.6 million years ago. It produced tools such as choppers, burins, and stitching awls. It was completely replaced around 250,000 years ago by the more complex Acheulean industry, which was first conceived by Homo ergaster around 1.8 to 1.65 million years ago. The Acheulean implements completely vanished from the archaeological record around 100,000 years ago. And were replaced by more complex Middle Paleolithic tool kits such as the Mousterian and the Acheulean industries. Lower Paleolithic humans used a variety of stone tools, including hand axes and choppers. Although they appear to have used hand axes often, there is disagreement about their use. Interpretations range from cutting and chopping tools to digging implements to flaking cords to the use in traps, and as a purely ritual significance, perhaps in courting behavior. William H. Calvin has suggested that some hand axes could have served as killer frisbees meant to be thrown at a herd of animals in a water hole so as to stun one of them. There are no indications of hafting, and some artifacts are far too large for that. Thus, a thrown hand axe would not usually have penetrated deeply enough to cause very serious injuries. Nevertheless, it could have been an effective weapon for defense against predators. Choppers and scrapers were likely used for skinning and butchering scavenged animals, and sharp-ended sticks were often obtained for digging up edible roots. Presumably, early humans used wooden spears as early as 5 million years ago to hunt small animals, much as their relatives, chimpanzees, have been observed to do in Senegal, Africa. Lower Paleolithic humans constructed shelters such as the possible wood hut at Terra Amata. Now, when it comes to using fire, fire was used by Lower Paleolithic hominins, Homo erectus and Homo ergaster, as early as 300,000 to 1.5 million years ago, and possibly even earlier by the early Lower Paleolithic Odoan hominin, Homo habilis, or by robust Australopithecines, such as Paranthropus. However, the use of fire only became common in in the societies of the following Middle Stone Age and Middle Paleolithic. Use of fire reduced mortality rates and provided protection against predators. Early hominins may have begun to cook their food as early as the lower Paleolithic, 1.9 million years ago, or at the latest in the early Middle Paleolithic, 250,000 years ago. Some scientists have hypothesized that hominins began cooking food to defrost frozen meat, which would help ensure their survival in cold regions. Archaeologists cite morphological shifts in cranial anatomy as evidence for emergence of cooking and food processing techniques. These morphological changes include decreases in molar and jaw size, thinner tooth enamel, and decrease in gut volume during much of the Pleistocene epoch. Our ancestors relied on simple food processing techniques such as roasting. The Upper Paleolithic saw the emergence of boiling and advance in food processing technology, which rendered plant foods more digestible, decreased their toxicity, and maximized their nutritional value. Thermally altered rock, heated stones are easily identifiable in the archaeological record. Stone boiling and pit baking were common techniques which involved heating large pebbles, then transferring the hot stones into a perishable container to heat the water. This technology is typified in the Middle Paleolithic. Example of the AFR, P2 Hertz. Alright, rafts. The lower Paleolithic Homo erectus possibly invented rafts 840,000 to 800,000 BP to travel over large bodies of water, which may have allowed a group of Homo erectus to reach the island of Flores and evolved into the small hominin Homo florensis. However, this hypothesis is disputed within the anthropological community. The possible use of rafts during the lower Paleolithic may indicate that lower Paleolithic hominins such as Homo erectus were more advanced than previously believed and may have even spoken in early form of modern language. Supplementary evidence from Neanderthal and modern human sites located around the Mediterranean Sea such as Cor de Semota, 300,000 BP, has also indicated that both Middle and Upper Paleolithic humans used rafts to travel over large bodies of water, the Mediterranean Sea, for the purpose of colonizing other bodies of land. Advanced tools. By around 200,000 BP, Middle Paleolithic stone tool manufacturing spawned a tool making technique known as the prepared core technique, which was more elaborate than previous Etruscan techniques. This technique increased efficiency by allowing the creation of more controlled and consistent flakes. It allowed Middle Paleolithic humans to create stone-tipped spears, which were the earliest composite tools, by hafting sharp pointing stone flakes onto wooden shafts. In addition to improving tool making methods, the Middle Paleolithic also saw an improvement of the tools themselves that allowed access to a wide variety and amount of food resources. For example, microliths or small stone tools or points were invented around 70,000, 65,000 BP and were essential for the invention of bowls, and atolls, spear throwers in the following Upper Paleolithic. Harpoons were invented and used for the first time during the late Middle Paleolithic, 90,000 BP. The invention of these devices brought fish into the human diets, which provided a hedge against starvation and a more abundant food supply, thanks to their technology and their advanced social structures. Paleolithic groups such as the Neanderthals, who had a middle Paleolithic level of technology, appear to have hunted large game just as well as upper Paleolithic. Modern humans and the Neanderthals in particular may have likewise hunted with projectile weapons. Nonetheless, Neanderthal use of projectile weapons in hunting occurred very rarely or perhaps never, and the Neanderthals hunted large game animals mostly by ambushing them and attacking them with handheld weapons such as thrusting spears rather than attacking them from a distance with projectiles. Then you had other inventions. During the Upper Paleolithic, further inventions were made such as the net, around 20,000, 22,000 or 29,000 BP, bolas, the spear thrower, 30,000 BP, the bow and arrow, 25,000 or 30,000 BP, and the oldest example of ceramic art, the Venus of Donai Bestonis, 29,000, 25,000. The Kilu Cave at Buku Island, Solomon Islands, demonstrates navigation of some 60 kilometers of open ocean at 30,000 BC cows. Early dogs were domesticated sometime between 30,000 14,000 BP, presumably to aid in hunting. However, the earliest instances of successful domestication of dogs may be much more ancient than this. Evidence from canine DNA collected by Robert K. Wayne suggests that dogs may have been first domesticated in the late Middle Paleolithic, around 100,000 BP or perhaps even earlier. Archaeological evidence from the Dordogne region of France demonstrates that members of the European early Upper Paleolithic culture, known as the Aurignacian, used calendars, 30,000 BP. This was a lunar calendar that was used to document the phases of the moon. Genuine solar calendars did not appear until the Neolithic. Upper Paleolithic cultures were probably able to time the migration of game animals such as wild horses and deer. This ability allowed humans to become efficient hunters and to exploit a wide variety of game animals. Recent research indicates that the Neanderthals timed their hunts and the migrations of game animals long before the beginning of the Upper Paleolithic. Okay, I know where I left off. Diet and nutrition. I left off at diet and nutrition. Okay. All right. What time is it? Yeah, a couple more minutes. I'm getting ready to end the video. About 15 more minutes. Okay. All right. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna get ready to end today's video. What time is it? Yeah. In about 15 minutes. Because it'll be about 5:30. But like I said, we're gonna continue to talk about prehistoric religion and traditional ancient African religion indefinitely. Indefinitely. So, you know, it's gonna be indefinite. You know. You know, and the reason being because prehistoric religion and traditional ancient African religion is something, you know, it's so much information that you couldn't, you know, as you can see, we talking about the lower Paleolithic, the middle Paleolithic, and the upper Paleolithic. Then we get to the Neolithic, and so on and so forth. Then you got to deal with even before that, you got to deal with prehistory to make sure you understand. And then there's so much you got about cognition, and then you got to deal with all these fields of science, including mathematics, engineering, and medicine. All the branches of science and all the fields of science, like for example, applied science and basic science, including mathematics. So, you know, it's a lot of information. So, gonna be talking about this in depth. Now, before I end today's video, you know, but you know, first I want to say thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the Son of God, for all the blessings and the guidance He provides us all with. And again, when it comes to these natural disasters, that's a serious thing, because we don't all live in the same place, and it affects people. Natural disasters affect any and everybody, because natural disasters are not all, you know, you got hurricanes, tornadoes, you got what they call wildfires, blizzards, you know, because now it's going to be wintertime, and so you got blizzards, you know, the cold weather that can really just cause a lot of problems. Not just blizzards, just cold weather period, but blizzards, and you know, floods, and earthquakes, and volcanoes, droughts. In the summertime, you know, summertime, it gets so hot where it don't rain. Natural disasters are serious, and people die. People die. And not just die, people lose property. You know, people lose property. Land get destroyed. So natural disasters are serious. We need to pray about natural disasters. Just continually pray about all these natural disasters. And let's not leave out the fact that sometimes let me change it. let me change that. A lot of times we have debris that falls from outer space. Constant. You know, we have debris falling to the earth from outer space. Constantly. And it can't be overlooked. There's always a possibility that something could fall up from outer space and, you know, cause a lot of deaths. So continue to pray. And let's pray about these wars that are being fought. Let's pray about these wars that are being fought, that there be peace. That we, you know, be able to live on this earth and have peace as human beings. Because when we talk about, see, that's a good thing for us to talk about prehistoric religion. Because we as humans who do have the cognition, and we using our cognitive skills to study the past. We all human. And we pretty much know our origin as humans, you know, being that we all evolved being that we are the homo, being that we as humans, we the homo. Now we got the chimpanzee and the bonobo. There's a hominin. But in that hominin, we homo. As human, we homo. So all of us as human beings, we the homo. No, it ain't no scientific dispute on that. Zero dispute. All the fields of science gonna say we all human. First of all, we when it comes to being a hominin, we the homo. As human beings, we homo. So you all that stuff about where we come from. So, you know, we're going to continue to pray that we, you know, do something about these wars that are being fought. We are human beings. And see, that's at the root of the problem with us as human beings having war. In the past, there's been a lot of lies that have been told that caused a lot of wars to be fought about race. And about just about who, what, where, when, why, as humans. Those lies have been debunked. Now people fight war by greed. It's just, you know, greed, pure greed. All these so-called natural resources on this planet, it's just greed. Whoever has the weapons to control oil, or who gonna control water, who gonna control, you know, iron, gold, and silver. You know, it's basically greed. the land. People fighting over the land. Whose land is this or whose land is that? And whoever has the weapons control the resources. So that's what, let's continue to try to have peace. And before I end the day, and before I end today's video, like I said, it's getting, this year is almost coming to an end. And there's a lot of unfortunate things, like we got this government shutdown, which I think, like a lot of people, that's the stupidest mess. I can't even see why in this day and time we still haven't, why you gotta you claim that you're trying to address a problem, a so-called problem. But in the process, you take the method of addressing the problem by creating a problem. Shut the government down. What kind of what kind of you got strategy and tactics. What kind of tactic is that? It's you wait till they get to the point where where it's almost a time for the government to shut down, and then you're gonna wait for the government to actually shut down. That tactic don't make sense. Because the only thing you've done is create a lot of problems. You're trying to use the military to address crime, but you created another problem by shutting the government down. You got all these government. When is the FBI and everybody else gonna start getting their paycheck? Because they government employees. All law enforcement at the federal level, they government employees. FBI, DEA, the drug enforcement, all these federal employees. Not just the air traffic controllers, but the FBI. They federal employees. And all the other, people, U.S. Marshals and the ICE agents, the ones that you complain, people that's talking about the ICE agents, they federal employees. The immigration and customs enforcement, the ICE, they federal. They not gonna, they were talking about how long they got before they stop getting paychecks. They probably think that they get paid every 2 weeks. Federal employees get paid every twice. Man. All the SNAP benefits been cut. They didn't touch Social Security. Well, people that gonna get Social Security gonna still get their Social Security check. But man, it's gonna be a lot of federal employees, like USDA and the Center for Disease Control. It's a lot of federal, all these different departments of the federal government. There's a lot of people, millions, in the millions, who's not gonna have a paycheck. And you think they're being smart? That's a tactic you gonna use? And you claim you trying to address another problem in the government? Like, man, the only thing you done is created more problems. All you done is created more problems. And then, it trickles down. If the federal employees ain't, you got all these government programs. They go to the states. And when the states don't get the funding for those state programs that they depend on the federal funding, just like the schools, for charter schools and all, all this. All these programs, all these federal, maybe scholarships might be affected. It's possible. I can't name all these programs. It's not just the employees. But when you shut the government down, you got all these programs that the federal government be funding for all 50 states and U.S. territories. They get federal funding. So those state as well as local employees and the people who the programs for going to be affected. You're going to have the employees not getting paychecks, and the people that the programs was intended to help, they not going to have that funding. Like what? Domestic violence shelters, or substance abuse, what? Then I just thought about what, the federal penitentiary. Those employees, they federal employees. The federal prisons, the public. They federal employees. But it's also the states. Because they get federal funding for some things that they just, if you don't get the federal funding, then the state not going to be able to depend on the federal government. Then those programs, so that tactic of shutting the government down is really senseless. It's really senseless. It should not be allowed. It should not, from this point on, the American people should not allow this nonsense with the government being shut down. This should be the last time. This will be the last time. This right here, at this month, from this point on, it should not be anything about shutting the government down ever again. Because it's wrong. It's wrong. It's nothing that you're supposed to be doing, claiming that the Democrats and Republicans trying to address in a debate, and you're just going to sit around and wait for the whole government to shut down. That's from this point on, it should not be allowed. Should not be allowed. See, the only reason it happened again is because it was allowed to happen. But from this point on, the American people should say, from this point on, this ain't gonna happen no more. From this point on, not gonna have it. Not gonna put up with that foolishness ever again. You can forget talking about SNAP program. Look, you're not gonna get away with no. From this point on, you're not gonna shut the government down. No. Federal, state, and local, no. From this point on, the American people should not allow that to happen. Because you didn't solve anything. You only made the matter worse. You only made it worse. But, like I said, what time is it? Yeah, I'm getting ready to end today's video. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine, right here in the city of Memphis. Is in the county sheriff, is in the state of Tennessee. Thank my family, my support for your continued courage and support. And like I said, continue to pray. Just continue to pray. Don't never stop praying. Don't never stop praying. And I'm still, and like I said, it's getting to the point to the end of the year and everything. I'm still working on my idea. This is the time that's being used to make sure people be informed, you know, and we you know, that way it can move from just being, I don't want to, you know, say from this point on, my, but you know, you had to have a start, and so, and then it becomes our, you know, instead of saying my, it becomes our, because it was always intended for others to be involved, but you know, you had to have something, you know, a point where you had a starting point, but it's time to move from that starting point, and instead of saying my, it becomes our, because it includes all, you know, others, you know, because, you know, we all can achieve a goal and work and work toward what we want to achieve. So I might say my idea or whatever, you know, but it really not mine, but it's our, you know. But you had, you know, we had to have a starting point. So, and then, you know, before I end, you know, like I said, you know, when I was growing up, we had, you know, radio stations, you know, like WDIA, and know the program on WDIA, you know, because, you know, it was all, it's one thing about WDIA, they never did stop, you know, playing music, and, you know, they play music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and, you know, blues, soul music, and you know, what we call R&B, you know, it wasn't no, you know, what they call hip hop rap. That was like the 80s, you know. But you know, like I was saying, you know, WDI was like AM, and still is today. And but you had, you know, like FM station K97, that came like the mid 70s, early, you know, mid 70s, like the late 70s, early 80s, R&B, you know, soul, and it included blues, you know. It's almost like they picked, you know, like what blues song, you know, it might be like Johnny Taylor getting included, and you know, stuff like that. You know, when it comes to a blues artist or song, you know, that gets included. Now, other blues might not be included in, you know, might not be included in the program, but some blues got played. You know, think Betty Wright, you know, like, you know, calling us some other one on the phone, you know, and, you know, about my man and all that, they got included, you know. But when it comes to the, you know, radio station and everything, you know, then, you know, in the 80s, you had V101, you know, it ain't always been on V1, but, you know, the same thing pretty much R&B, soul, V101. Then the 90s came, 103.5, WRBO. Now there's no leave out, you know, like pop radio station. You had FM 100, because for a long time, you know, pop and whatever was popular, that's what they played, pop. And then you got the rock station. Is 102 now, but classic rock used to be 103, but now it's 102. But I mean, you know, radio stations, you know. Then you had the real. Now these FM stations now are 104.5, the river. Hey, you know, you know, the radio station. I mean, they've been around for years, you know. And then when the 2000s came around with all this quote unquote hip hop, rap, now you got 107.1, hot 107.1, you know. It ain't always been, because it ain't always been no hip hop, it ain't always been no rap. But today, you know, you got hot 107.1. Then the gospel, 1340 WLOK. They got AM and FM. They got an AM and FM. Then there's other station. It came around, I think it's 96. Hallelujah. You know, gospel station. 96. I think it's 95.6 something. 96 is one, but it's hallelujah something. Wait, what is? 95.7. 95.7. Hallelujah. 95.7. And so, and now we got, what is it? Power 104.1, the source. Southern soul, blues, and so, I mean, yeah, in the blues, Southern soul, blues, R&B. Southern soul, blues, R&B. We play some good music during the weekdays, and you know, Monday through Friday, and then the weekend I think they got, you know, some kind of, you know, some kind of, you know, program. But mostly, I think they right now, mostly Monday through Friday. But see, this is what we talking about. You know, you talking about your community, your city. See, these are things that make your city. You know, like when you talk about being people, that's something that people, you know, can relate to, because that's where they from. So they'll talk about the radio station, the history of their community is the radio station. You know, it's, you know, that's popular, just like the TV station. In every community, there's a, you know, you have radio stations and you have TV stations. You have, you know, NBC, ABC. You know, we ain't always had cable. So for a long time, for many years, like me, I'm one of those, you know, in the 70s, ABC, NBC, and what, CBS. Them was the main three. It ain't, now you know and I know it ain't always been no CW. You know, look, come on now. And Fox, when it comes to Fox, it ain't always, I'm be honest, it ain't always been no Fox. We, you know, in every community, you know, whatever community, it ain't always been no Fox. But it's been CBS, NBC, and ABC. It's been them three since the what, the 60s. We can all pretty much say where we live. We know them the big three. We know them the big three. CBS, NBC, and ABC. It ain't always been no Fox. It ain't always been no Fox. Fox came, what, Fox? It's not even the 70s. What, the 80s? Because what, when cable, Ted Turner, it ain't always been no Fox station. When you talking about the local, because you know you already had your PBS, you know, your public broadcast station. But it ain't always been no Fox. Because what, Warner Brothers, Ted Turner with the cable news network, and you know his. Because remember when cable came out, you had CNN, but Ted Turner had what? Turner Broadcast Station. What? Yeah, like 5 of them. TBS. What? Then it was Turner Broadcast Network. Because you had Turner Broadcast Station. You had what? Turner Broadcast Network. Anything that got Turner, he put his name on Turner. Turner Broadcast Station. Turner Broadcast Network. What? Turner Broadcast. Channel. Anything he put his name on, it was Turner. But he had CNN. So, but then Fox, Rupert Murdoch, the newspaper and all that. And then he started with the broadcast channel, Fox, the Fox channel. So I think what the 80s, when they started having the channel, the actual channel, what we got today, Fox station, as being a station just like NBC and CBS. Now we got Fox. But you know, when I growed up, it wasn't no Fox. And everybody else gonna say the same thing. It was, but we know in the 70s, CBS, NBC, and ABC, them 3, plus the public broadcast station. Hey, that was local TV. That was in the 70s, you know. And think about it, how football was. Football, Channel 3, CBS. Because ABC didn't have, but NBC and CBS for a long time, that was the football, even today. But now, CBS still got football, but now, Fox got football on Sunday. Then now you got NBC got football on Sunday night. Then ABC had Monday Night Football for a long time. Monday Night Football was ABC. Because, of course, when Monday, first day of school, every week, after Monday Night Football, then go to school, then go back to school, football. And then when it comes to basketball, of course, baseball, basketball. But for a long time, man, that's the way it was. Football always been on TV. Baseball, yeah, I can't. But Wide World of Sports on Saturday, Wide World of Sports. Hey, we all, but see this. See where you come from, Like I sit here and sit living, and then people be like, the TV station, the radio station. That's who you are as a person. That shaped you as a person. You lived in that whatever, just like me. I live right here in the city of Memphis. But a lot of things, the TV, the radio, the culture, your customs, Soul Train. It's time, I know. But hey, that's who we are. You know what I'm saying? That's who we are. So, but we gonna continue to stay on this. So I'm gonna get ready to end today's video, and we're gonna come back. I'm gonna end today's video with my little joke and everything. Because that's part of that's the same thing. Because hey, they be talking about Saturday Night Live. Hey, Saturday Night Live used to come on, every Saturday night. For a lot of us, hey, that was what we look forward to. A lot of people, they look forward to Saturday Night Live. But, today, it might be a little different because you got so much. But for a long time, myself included, man, hey, just like Soul Train, look forward to Soul Train. on Saturday night. To be honest, we look forward to Saturday Night Live too. We did. I know I did. I look forward to on NBC when Saturday night came, man. Oh yeah, look forward to being able to sit up and watch, Saturday Night Live. Yeah. But hey, Lil Chuck, what they talking about on the internet? Get your damn out! What you worrying at the internet for? Now I heard they were saying something on the internet. About Luther Vandross or something on here. That's talking about Luther Vandross! No, I'm just saying, what they talking about? Luther Vandross. They saying something on the internet. What they talking about? They saying something about Luther Vandross on the internet? Huh? I don't know. They said something on the internet or something about Luther Vandross or something. You know what they said? I don't know what they said. Yes, you do. I don't know what they said about Luther Vandross. I don't know. I just heard some rumors or something on the internet. Stop spreading rumors. Matter of fact, why don't you ask your damn hoe what they said about Luther Vandross on the internet? Okay, hey. Hey, I'm through. I'm gone. Till next time, take care of yourself. With each one of you, baby. Oh. Man.